In this video, I'm going to walk you through the guided practice. In the guided practice, you were supposed to choose one of your courses and make a test in that course. So I'm going to choose this course, and then in order to add a test, I'm going to click Resources, Add, and Test. So now I am editing my test. So the first thing you need to do is give your test a title. And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to title it Example. And you need to give your test an introduction or some instructions. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to type, these are instructions for this test. If you want, you can add standards to this test, and you may need to go back in the learning path if you don't remember how to add standards, but this step is completely optional. You should set a deadline for this test. I'm going to set my deadline for midnight tomorrow, but you would set a deadline that you think is appropriate for this test for your course. And I'm going to allow my students to submit after the deadline. And It's Learning will tell me if they turned it in on time or if they turned it in late. It's up to you. Click this box if you want It's Learning to tell the students that this is homework. In terms of assessment, I am going to choose score because I want my test to be just out of a number, out of a score. And then it doesn't matter if you click Add to Gradebook or not because we don't use the It's Learning Gradebook at this time. I just leave it as mandatory, but you could click not mandatory if you don't want it to tell students that it's a mandatory assignment. And then you can't activate it yet because the questions have not been written, but I am going to set a time span for it to be activated today at 3 p.m. and that it will never deactivate because I want kids to take it even if they turn it in late. So now I'm going to press save, and I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click Edit Test Settings so that I can edit the options for this test. I'm going to keep my scoring method without penalty, but earlier in the learning path, I talked about what it means to have with penalty scoring method. I am not going to set a percentage required for obtaining completed, but you can if you want. And I'm not going to set my questions in a random order, but you could if you want. I'm going to leave my question navigation at free navigation, which allows students to go skip questions and go back to questions, but there are two other options. And I'm going to leave the number of attempts at 1, and I'm going to give them a time limit of 60 minutes. For results and feedback, I am going to have it set so that each time they take the test, or after they take the test, they're going to see their score and whether or not their answers were correct. And I am also going to reveal the correct answers. So you need to think about whether or not that would be appropriate for your classroom. Do you want students to see the correct answers after they take the test? I am not going to set up any feedback on my test, but if you would like, you could set up feedback on every question or on every alternative on multiple choice questions. I am not going to password protect my test or put my test in test mode. Now I'm going to press save, and I am ready to start writing questions for my test. And that is what I'm going to talk about in the next section of the learning path. So if you think you've done all these things and you have your test set up, then you are ready to move on in the learning path and start learning about the different question types and how to publish your test on It's Learning.